Sun blazing hot and heavy. It is almost 90 for kickoff here at Riverside Stadium. Final stretch of the divisional season in the WPSL. KC Current 2 and Sunflower State FC ready for the reverse fixture. It was 4-0 back in May. Important result to grab this evening. KC 2 off their second 11-day break this campaign. Perhaps a key mental rest after two uninspiring draws to start June. Still hungover perhaps from TST in North Carolina. Sunflower State trending up, winners of 3 straight. We will see the extent to which that form carries into tonight. Welcome in, everyone, alongside Landon Vert. I'm Sam Johnson. Landon, we will look at lineups in a second here, but first your thoughts. An important 3 points for the taking, and now a pretty tight divisional race between the top 3.
Yeah, Sam, excited to be here. Thank you so much. It's going to be an exciting match at Riverside Stadium, the recently announced site of the 2026 WPSL Championship. And you could not be more correct. This is a massive fixture ahead of an Oklahoma Swing for Current 2. In desperate need of 3 points. This division, it's a top-heavy division, 5 points off first-place Union KC right now. This is a gigantic match for both sides. Really looking forward to seeing how it shakes out and what differs from that previous matchup earlier this season. Should be a fun one.
Indeed. Let's begin with the lineups here, starting with the visitors, Sunflower State FC, coached by Jose Ramos. It's Hannah McFarland in net. They go with a 5-back with 2 wing-backs. The central 3 are Akaya Day, Lila Lidstrom, and Amelia Zolesio. The wingbacks on the left side, Laura Torres, and on the right, Natalia Jones. The midfielders, Alexis Mitchell, Jules Wardlaw, and Delfina Zolesio. Up top, on the left side, Jenna Hull, the goals leader in the campaign for Sunflower State FC, and Tata Teixeira, who has bagged a couple herself on the right side. For KC Current 2, Kaylin Williams gets a start in net. Lot changed. 7 changes to the 11 from the last time they played on June 6th. Same formation, though, 4-2-1-3, with Skylar Blaze now on the right, Nyla Schoefberger and Natalia Gemelli, the captain, centrally. Elle Kirshner on the left side, Kari Hans, Anna Henderson, Avery Clark in the midfield, and Tori Vassar, JC Hackler, Alexa Heredia Beltran working right to left on the front. Ball rolling, as we mentioned, important 3 points, as KC Current 2 currently sit third in the Heartland Division, but they do have 2 games in hand on the current leaders, Union KC, and a game in hand on Oklahoma City FC, who they still have to play twice. They'll play them this weekend, and then a week from now here, their final home match. Just gets past the foot of Haunts. Well, the problem for KC Current 2 the last 2 games to start June was not scoring goals. Landon, how do they find a breakthrough in this one? The last game they played June 6th, Tulsa kind of sat in deep and defended really well.
It can be very difficult playing against a low block, one of the most challenging things to do in all of soccer. Heck, even the top international teams in the world struggle with it, as we've seen so far with some of these matches in the World Cup. I also think it's important to note, too, you mentioned the second 11-day break. This Current 2 team played very well, represented the club very well at TST, went on a great run. Then you kind of get thrown back into the WPSL mix with a couple of matches. So I do think potentially some fatigue could have been a factor there, some roster rotation. Those 7-on-7 matches are very intense. It's a high level they play at TST. So I'm curious to see, with the break now, maybe some refreshed legs and a renewed look at goal. Definitely starts with Avery Clark, though. A lot of Kansas City Current fans will remember her incredible performance during the Teal Rising Cup, bagging a goal there in the Current's victory, 2-1 victory over Corinthians, which set up a landmark 6-0 win against Palmaris later on. But I'll definitely be looking at her in that number 10 role to make some plays, definitely get the ball out wide to the wingers and make something happen.
Early turnover. No problem, though, for Williams, able to shield. Yeah, you mentioned the pro debut. 3 players from the second team made their debut back in April. Clark probably had the best debut, you could say, though.
A very memorable headed goal it was, that's for sure.
And going back to the TST stuff, that was also 7-on-7. So some of their training in the weeks leading up to that was small-sided stuff, and maybe still kind of locked into that rhythm when they came back and played 2 games in quick succession. It's a 10 division match season getting toward the end of it. And those current standings, Union KC, 7 matches played. They're at 16 points. Oklahoma City FC, game in hand with 15 points. I think KC current 2, 5 matches played, 11 points. Won their first 3, have drawn the previous 2. Here's Blaze, back in the starting lineup, didn't start on June 6th. Vassar. Mentioned the 7 changes to the 11, including the keeper, Williams. And that back line, the only returning face was Gemelli, the captain. Blaze going to be an important piece up that right side. Already a handful of touches. Here's Haunts. Won by Henderson. Wanted Clark on the end of that one. And the flag goes up.
Most definitely the right idea there to clip that long diagonal ball in. Just a touch too early, but definitely the right idea from current 2 thus far. Lots of positive sequences here in the attacking third.
Clark came off the bench their last game. That frustrating 0-0 draw with Tulsa. Didn't really find a rhythm until the final 10-15 minutes. But by that point, ran out of time to press and find a goal. Although that final collection of minutes was pretty inspiring. Couldn't find a way through in the end. For Sunflower State FC, 3 wins in a row. That competition hasn't been the stiffest, taking advantage of FC Wichita and Tulsa. But dropped their first 4 games, so it was a big swing back. Hackler. Couldn't fit it through. Hackler stays with it to the byline. Hackler ends up getting chipped out. That will be a corner.
And quickly to the Sunflower State point, too. And talking with some of their personnel, it's a lineup that remains relatively unchanged from this good run of form that they're in. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of an interesting formation, too. It's a 5-3-2 at time, or 5-3-3, pardon me, at times. But it'll also transition into a 3-4-1-2. Those wingbacks will be really, really involved, at least when they're going good down the right and left flanks. Yeah,
Laura Torres on the left and Natalia Jones on the right. Quarter played short. Haunts. This is moved up to Jenna Holt. 4 goals on the campaign for her. Tries to switch it out to Torres. Gets intercepted. KC started with 3 wins in May. 12-0 over FC Wichita. 4-0 over Sunflower State. And then Union KC, they beat 5-1. Just haven't got going in June yet. As you mentioned, TST definitely threw a wrench into some of that form that they had in the WPSL season, although they played quite well at TST. Got to the quarterfinals and nearly took down the eventual champs. One off Zolesio. KC current 2, coached by Vasil Ristov, who was harping on a quick start on June 6th against Tulsa. That never came. The goal never came. Try and find that today. Ends up working out as a through ball to Tata Teixeira, and a crazy challenge from Gemelli, the captain. And Teixeira, important piece up front, is slow to get up.
Great to see Teixeira back up on her feet there. That was a very, very well-timed challenge from Gemelli. That had to be done correctly. Obviously, Teixeira was in there and would have been an incredibly threatening scoring opportunity. That's someone you don't want to see with the ball at her feet in the attacking third for sure. So well done from Gemelli there.
So both teams have threatened. Here's Tori Vassar. So worked through a lot of traffic, ends up losing it out for a Sunflower State throw. Over the top for Hackler. Feeds Clark. Here's Haunts. Florida commit. A lot of past, present, and future Division I talent for this KC second team. And getting results now becomes increasingly important with Union KC and Oklahoma City FC getting the job done. It's a decent ball out to Torres, just could not control it. Landing, you've been around WPSL for a while. You know a lot about it. This will be the pitch for the championships later in the summer.
It's going to be an incredible time here. Yeah, first time it will be here at Riverside Stadium. It had had a long-term home in Oklahoma for the times previous. The WPSL, obviously, it's a fantastic league. It provides so much of a great opportunity and pathway for a lot of these collegiate players to not only stay sharp during the offseason, but also for a team like Current 2 to get steady, consistent matches against quality competition from around the region. It's always very cool to see these rosters that are littered with players from colleges big and small from around the region and how these teams are able to get talent. And it's a talented league. There's lots of great competition on display on a week in and week out basis. And yes, it's a hard league to win. You get all the way to that national championship. It's a very, very challenging thing to do. So when you get to that stage, it really is the best of the best. And always a good bit of chaos, which no great league is without. So a lot can happen, unpredictable on the week to week, but that's what makes it so fun and makes it so exciting. So definitely a tall task ahead for Current 2, but they have everything they want right in front of them with the 2 games in hand that you mentioned and a lot of big matches coming up. That trip to Oklahoma will loom very, very large this weekend, and desperately wanting to start that on the right foot and some positive momentum with a victory today.
Well, that build-up for Sunflower State was promising a moment ago, but just a mistouch by Natalia and Jones, and KC can get settled back in. Dutch national team had praise for this pitch, hoping that the rest of the fields they'd play on would be this quality, so definitely a deserving spot for the championships.
Absolutely, yes. This pitch also just hosted the Dutch national team's open practice just last week, so very, very exciting times in and around with the Dutch national team just staying right next door.
Henderson up to Haunts. That might be a bit far, but a push before that. Henderson was the one nudged on her way up there.
First real threatening set piece of the match here for Current 2. Interested to see how this delivery takes form. Ideally, you want this ball right in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box, curled nice and hard in there. So we'll see how this goes, but this is going to be a really promising opportunity, it seems.
And Clark closest to the goal right now, probably the most formidable head or foot they could find on this. Haunt steps over. Henderson takes. It's back toward Clark, but over. Sunflower State FC outscored 12-0 in the first 3 matches of the season. First game was at home versus KC2. That was 4-0. That lost 3-2 against Oklahoma City FC after those opening 3. As of late, really good. 3 straight wins. But again, that competition facing the bottom 2. But getting the results you'd expect and they need. That Tulsa point they picked up against KC on June 6th could end up being their only point of the season. Taking it off potentially the champs of the division. Played up the right side. In toward Teixeira. Stopped by Gemelli. Again, the only returning face to the starting 11 on that back line. Out to Haunts in space. Vassar's the option up the right side, picks her out. Cuts in on Torres. Good challenge by Torres, but stays in the vicinity of Hans. Good win back. Sunflower State FC hurry it up. It's out for a throw. Vassar doubled up, couldn't split. And the same happens to Zalesio. Well, so far, a little bit of back and forth. Solid start for Sunflower State. So their form would indicate that they would come out this way. And again, that formation going with what's worked, as you mentioned, Landon, during this win streak.
It's a bit of a tricky one to break down and a tricky one to play against. And yeah, this is a Sunflower State group playing with a lot of confidence at the moment.
Kirshner's chip gets away.
And everyone gunning for that first place spot, which ensures automatic qualification into that WPSL postseason. So, well, as I mentioned earlier, current two very much everything they want to accomplish still in front of them with a few big ones to come. But yeah, just sitting 5 points back of Union KC.
It's out for a Sunflower State throw. Yeah, OKC won it last year. Union KC got a wild card spot as well, so 2 advanced in 2025. But certainly want to get that guaranteed top spot. That's what the Current did back in 2022. That was their only other full season in the WPSL. Perfect 8 wins in the Heartland Division campaign 4 years ago. Eventually fell in the Central Region Final to Colorado Rapids women. 3-2 the final in that.
A fantastic ride that was, that I was fortunate enough to be a part of, helping out with the Current 2 social media and communications efforts during that window. That was a very, very fun team to watch that had an incredibly dominant season in that WPSL campaign. They were a treat. That was a very, very good squad.
Could certainly make a run like that again, but based on the last 2 draws, it's been a frustrating stretch, as that was a well-earned free kick by Torres. Lifted in. Flick on by Blaze. Haunt stabs it up to Clark. Good chest control. Might be a bit far that time for Heredia Beltran. Well, the biggest thing to note so far, scoreless through 16 minutes, but also it's hot out there. They're not playing on fake turf, so that helps, but close to 90 at kickoff, and the sun directly on them.
It is a warm, humid Kansas City June evening, that is for sure. Definitely a toasty one out there, and a welcome to the Midwestern summer.
Nice maneuver by Zalesio. Here's Torres. What a ball that is from Akaya Day.
Good cleanup work there by Gemelli. That was a very, very threatening ball out to the wing, but good work from Gemelli to intercept that first touch there that was just a little bit long.
Gets cleared in the end by Schofberger. This is similar to how their last draw played out. Bit of back and forth. Tulsa played really well. Of course, this is a better squad than Tulsa on paper. But then that last chunk of the match is when KC really put the pressure on, but never could find that winning goal. You just hope it's not the same recipe today. First change made. They bring off Torres, Sunflower State do. And on comes Luna Etienne.
And to your point earlier, about the Heat.
That's given up by Day. Hackler kind of unsure of what to do with that. Plays it softly to McFarland in net. Go ahead.
Yeah, and to your point earlier about the Heat and the point we were making earlier about this lineup and formation that Sunflower State is in, there's a lot required and asked of these outside wingbacks. So I would expect to see some decent rotation to try to keep them fresh as this match progresses, especially in the Heat.
Definitely the most demanding position. Both teams with sturdy benches as well. Plenty of options, and you can see some of the KC bench up and moving toward Holt. Blaze was first to it. Well, good to have Skylar Blaze back in the starting 11. California native, just graduated from Louisiana Monroe. Sunbelt Player of the Year in 2025. Vassar bumped off the ball. Schofberger with the win. Clean challenge, trying to drag it between the legs of Blaze. Works out for Etienne. Couple of step overs. Hans wins it. So far this match has played out quite evenly. That's a mistake. Rolls out for a deep throw.
Very much so. I definitely can say that this is a match that is begging for its first big scoring opportunity. You saw a few minutes ago Gemelli snuff out that first opportunity that Teixeira potentially had in the box, but be interesting to see who the first quality scoring opportunity falls to.
Flag went up there. So free kick for KC. Blaze takes it. Little 1-2 with Schofberger.
This right-hand side, too, Current 2 making a very concerted effort to try and attack, at least in the early stages of this one so far.
Well, we wondered the extent to which the 3-game win streak form would carry over into this match for Sunflower State FC. So far, they've been crisp. Quality control by Emilia Zolesio. It does feel, though, that on the counter, there's been more space for KC to exploit. That's really been the way it's been all season, and they were quite deadly in the early few games.
A very clinical showing in the early stages of this WPSL season, for sure. Looking to regain those scoring boots, but goals tend to come in bunches, and it often just takes one opportunity to break the floodgates wide open. Especially in today's match, if the Current can continue catching Sunflower State with wingbacks out of position, which is another potential drawback to this sort of 5-3-2 lineup, there is definitely space to exploit down the flanks.
Could imagine Vasil Ristov taking in all this information as well. I mean, he's hungry to get back to the win column. There's Clark, a lot of traffic. A whistle and a Sunflower State free kick. Almost a quarter of this game gone, and thus far, even. Akaya Day feathers it out to Etienne. Fits it tightly to Lidstrom. Zolesio. Henderson wins it back to Hackler. Free again. Sunflower State pick it up. Akaya Day. Mid-America Nazarene University. Quite a few players currently playing there for Sunflower State FC. Tata Teixeira scored a great goal against Oklahoma City FC in that 3-2 loss. Good ball in. Good clearance. Clark will slow things up. Blaze has looked a bit shaky at times, maybe not completely herself in the early stages of this game. One of the top minds and athletes in this second team squad. She bagged the opening goal at TST versus Club America in their second group stage match. They also beat Sportive FC and lost to the U.S. women's squad, who'd won the previous 2 tournaments, didn't win it this time around. But gave that U.S. women's squad a really good game. Again, they showed out really, really well in North Carolina. Trying to get back into the swing of things in the WPSL season. Now's the time to do it. Fell kindly for Lidstrom. Now KC can break. Hans has Hackler to the right. Hackler able to skip around. Comes out for a corner, second corner of the match for KC.
That there is the right idea from Current 2, trying to spring those quick counterattacks. There is space there to be had, especially with some of the numbers that Sunflower State is committing forward. All it took was a simple one pass forward, and you're into some threatening scoring opportunities. So interested to see if there are more of those quick strike counterattacks that develop here as this match progresses.
Hans will take it. The short option is Henderson. Henderson, the crack of the whip. Header well over. Some pace behind it, though, from Schofberger. Defender pushed up for that set piece.
Not a bad look there. About 8 to 10 yards from goal. Great ball in. Just couldn't quite steer the header on target. But that's promising stuff from that set piece for sure.
Kirschner carries it quite well. Clark. Some good hold-up play from her early on. Hans might have a go with the left that deflects out. Could be a third corner. It is. Came off of Lila Benz, K-State player. Last corner found a KC head.
And Hans, who's over this ball here, has been a very, very positive player here through the first 26 minutes or so of this one. Looking to push forward, very, very attacking-minded and looking to score.
Hans whips it in. Header is saved. That was a great flick on. Looked like Clark, the head to it. Now Sunflower State FC can break. Moved up to Hull. Jenna Hull. 4 goals on the season, and she is dispossessed. Cleared out by Kirschner. Just a bit too far ahead of Heredia Beltran to keep that moving.
Another well-done set piece from Current 2 there. That was a great ball in from Hans. Clark met it at the near post. Well done by McFarland to parry that ball away. Not just make the save, but also push it away from danger. That's good goalkeeping.
As you mentioned, Hans has looked good so far. She did struggle a bit in their last outing, but has found her normal form and footing in this one. Teixeira gets bumped and gets a whistle. Takes it quickly and fit it through. Lila Benz to Etienne. Backler raises a foot up to control it. Hans picks up the loose change back to Blaze. Hans wanted the run for a moment. Stabbed away from Henderson. Zolesio in space. And it's a good switch out to Jones. Comes off Kirschner. It's going to be a corner. And Teixeira is the one walking over to take it.
Another quality switch of play there from Sunflower State, and just another instance of those attacking wingbacks getting into the final third and creating a little bit of havoc here with the set piece for the visitors.
Teixeira's got 2 goals on the season. Corner taker on this one. Stacked in front of the goal. Dangerous spot. Looked like Williams got hands to that. Eventually, KC player dropped and the whistle the other way.
Sunflower State there trying to create a bit of chaos inside the 6-yard box with a well-delivered ball from Teixeira, but well defended in the end by the Kansas City back line.
Schofberger was the one to get up a bit slowly that time. I'm sure the heat playing a factor. Nearly half an hour played. Your KC can't let some of that frustration start to settle in that they've had the last 2 matches. Kirshner. Wanted Vassar on the near side. Sunflower State FC didn't do well with that. It's going to be a corner. Jones kind of frustratingly booted it to the corner flag.
We'll see what comes of this one. The last couple of current 2 set pieces have been very, very threatening. So knocking on the door, particularly from these opportunities.
Hans, mentioned, committed to Florida, attends Blue Springs South right now, class of 2027. Lifts it in. And the flick on from Clark, and it's in. Half an hour. They find the breakthrough. Perhaps no longer hungover from North Carolina. 1-0, they take the lead. And it's Clark. Who else on that 4th WPSL goal of the season?
That had been coming, particularly on the set piece. Nearly a carbon copy of the chance just a moment ago that McFarland saved. Almost a similar sort of action there. It's Hans curling in another fantastic ball to the near post. Clark meets it with her head. No chance of saving that one as it goes right in the side netting, but that is just well done all around from Current 2 there. A worthy lead, and very, very dangerous from set pieces so far in the early going. Yeah, what a well-worked goal that was.
The first one from Clark, just straight at the keeper safe, made that one far into that right corner. And that's a great way to go into a quick hydration break. Up a goal now. Maybe a sigh of relief as well after 2 draws to start June. Again, that is something we've harped on maybe too much at this point, but finally getting over that seemingly hump that has been finding the back of the net after that, again, terrible 0-0 result against Tulsa. Now up and perhaps back into the thick of it with those top 3. They do have 2 games in hand. That includes the one today against Union KC, who are currently at the top with 16 points. Oklahoma City FC, that's going to be the big 2 matches coming up this weekend in Oklahoma City. They also have Tulsa, so the full Oklahoma experience this weekend, and then a week from now at home, it'll be Oklahoma City FC. Same kickoff time as today. Could be the decider in the end. We'll see. It's kind of how it was slated, at least for me, at the beginning of the year when the schedule was out. What do you want to see coming out of the break here? Sunflower State FC obviously have had some good movement forward. Had he remained compact and also deadly on the attack if you're KC?
Yeah, fascinating 15 minutes here ahead as the first half draws to a close following the hydration break. Goals do change games, so it'll be interesting to see how Sunflower State responds here, especially in the first 5 minutes, which is typically where teams are at their most vulnerable following a goal. So keeping the visitors at bay during this first little stretch here where I anticipate a renewed push forward will be very, very important. Maintaining that 1-0 lead as we get into halftime. But as we've seen so far in this first half, there is space to exploit in these transitional moments. So if more of those present itself as Sunflower State continues to push forward, there could be lots more space here for Current 2 down the flank. So interesting next few minutes ahead here, and important for Current 2 to keep their foot on the gas.
Vassar couldn't fit it through for Hackler. Hans already trying to win it back. Hackler ends up jumping on it on the right foot, curls it off the post. Just saw that looping toward the goal, thought it might have a chance. It nearly went in.
What a strike there from Hackler.
Now Zolesio can break. Zolesio has a go right at Schoefberger. Jimena Arnau on the ball. Etienne. Shadowed by Vassar. Etienne gets a ball in, punched out by Blaze, and a second corner of the day for Sunflower State. They'll make another change. Looks like Lila Benz will make way. Zolesio is the short option on this corner. Believe that's Laura Torres back in the match for Sunflower State. That's headed away. Slowly dribbles out for a throw.
It's another well-defended set piece by the Current 2 back line. At least thus far, Sunflower State has been able to advance the ball into the attacking third, a lot of those diagonal switches of play, but still lacking that final pass, at least just yet. So well done from the Current 2 back line to snuff some of these opportunities out.
Intercepted by Teixeira. Clark quickly there. Clark has the goal, and Clark draws the foul. Well, for Clark, played a couple productive seasons at Texas from 2023 to 2024. 44 appearances, 5 goals. 2023 all Big 12 and Big 12 freshman team. But shows the KC Current developmental pathway in 2025 over the rest of her college eligibility. And of course, back in April, scored in her pro debut at the Teal Rising Cup. Hans. Henderson poked it up to Hackler. Jenna Hull with some hold-up play.
A nice bit of sustained possession here from Current 2. Another way to sort of take the sting out and reduce that first little bit after scoring where you often can be left vulnerable. Nice long string of possession here really does sort of quell a lot of that from the visitors too.
A lot of it working through Hans right now. It's a tight ball up to Clark. Henderson. Switched to the near side, Blaze. Vassar on the chase. Stays with it. Little poke between the legs. Vassar gets a ball in. Clark was the intended head.
That was really, really well done from Tori Vassar there, not giving up on the play, keeping it alive, and keeping the ball down here in the attacking third. Let's see if Current 2 can maybe put something together here and add another goal before the half.
That was Zolesio hoping to charge past Hans, but touched it out instead. Blaze, soft little ball up toward Hackler, dealt with by McFarland. That's cleared out. Sunflower State have been moving the ball well, but more pressure in these last handful of minutes from KC. And 7 minutes ago, it resulted in the opening goal from Clark off a corner. Henderson and a Sunflower State player took a tumble. That nearly skipped kindly for Jenna Hull. Blaze was back defending one-on-one for a moment. Overrides Hull to win it.
Well done and great composure there shown by Skylar Blaze.
Back over the head of Blaze. Hans, that was a poor pass. Laid off to Zolesio. Drives it softly. Easy scoop for Williams. Looked like a lot more there for Sunflower State.
Definitely let off the hook just a tad. A very, very inopportune place to have a giveaway there, but ultimately harmless in the end.
Intercepted by Hackler. Hackler in that attacking mid role, dropping that time. Kirshner. Heredia Beltran, haven't said her name a whole lot on that left side yet, but has had some magical moments in this season so far. Can blaze past defenders when in her moment. Kirshner. Heredia Beltran helps it to Henderson. Thought about the switch. And now the switch out to Blaze. KC really settling into this match. Late first half. Intercepted by Etienne Teixeira, the recipient. Arnau moves it out. Gemelli. Central defender moves it all the way up for Vassar up the right side. Vassar chips it across. Flicked out up to Etienne.
Fantastic work there from Gemelli. I thought she was going to go all the way herself and have a hit, but well done. Great step and a great ball through on the wing there for Vassar. Just couldn't quite connect in the final third there, but that was very well done.
The captain, bit out of position, moving it up and creating a pretty good chance. Blaze. Zolesio now. Up to Hull. Does she have the pace to keep this in? Blaze bumps her off. Comes off Hull. Stays with it. It's around Blaze. This is good stuff from Hull. Cuts it back to the right. Across it goes.
I believe they're saying that ball went out of play there with Hull down the left wing, so that'll ultimately result in a KC Current 2 throw. But more good one-on-one defending again from Skylar Blaze, who definitely has her hands full so far with Jenna Hull, but definitely winning that battle so far.
Meanwhile, 2 changes made by Sunflower State. Zolesio and Teixeira come off. They bring in Alexis Mitchell. And one other. Lidstrom plays it off to the second sub. That's Wardlaw. Started today. 3 minutes till stoppage time in half number 1. Clark, after half an hour, the difference. Aunts. Kind of a screen from Clark. Hackler now. Space for Heredia Beltran, slowed up for her. And hit right into the gloves of McFarland.
That's Hans again springing that counterattack, which ultimately made its way to Heredia Beltran, who is getting more involved as this first half progresses, which is a good sign too. A lot of one-way traffic down the right flank early on, but definitely starting to distribute the ball a bit more down both sides. But another moment in transition there for Current 2, which again should continue to develop as this match progresses.
Tight space to operate there for Amelia Zalesio. Ends up turning it over, but Sunflower State FC break it.
Current 2 may be wishing they could have done just a bit more with that opportunity there. There was a big numerical advantage following that well-worked turnover in the attacking third.
A couple of poor turnovers on both sides that just have not been pounced on. Again, the one goal coming off a corner. Schofberger speeds things up. Great ball. Out to Kirschner. Heredia Beltran. One off the ball that time. Kinoshita lays it off. Alexis Mitchell moves it up to Kinoshita. Akaya Day up to Etienne. Schofberger, the intervention. Clark. Right back to her foot. Vassar, maybe not a lot of gas left in the heat. Did not win that. Plays the one in between that pass and Jenna Hull. Who did have the most WPSL goals on the season on the pitch until Clark tied her with her fourth. I think a lot of this rhythm, Landon, has settled nicely into Casey's favor as this first half has gone on.
Everything going according to plan following that opening goal. I think the thing they're just missing is a second goal, but very much taking the sting out of the game. Sunflower State FC really hasn't gotten a lot of that positive momentum they were maybe searching for after that opening goal.
That's too far for Hackler. Good idea, though, from Hans. So we're into stoppage time here in the first half.
But yeah, typically you do see somewhat of a response there, whether it's a threatening scoring opportunity or the like, but Current 2 have done a really, really good job taking a lot of sting out of that attack with these long, sustained periods of possession, really starting to feel like they're dictating the tempo, dictating the pace, which usually will spell good things to come here in the second half.
Etienne tried to move that forward, ended up coming down. It's a more compact touch. Breaks free there. Trying to find Hull. Blaze stepped in. Good this break for a second. Right at the stroke of halftime. Vassar might be offside. That's too far for Hackler.
Definitely did look like Vassar was just on there, but you can certainly tell that the heat and humidity is playing a factor as this first half progresses. It is toasty out there, and you can tell that these players are certainly feeling it.
Maybe one last venture forward for either side. Hans wants it, stabs it up to Vassar. Vassar fits it to Clark. The return to Vassar, just not willing to follow that. And that is the end of the first half. KC Current 2 get a goal after 30 minutes thanks to Avery Clark's head off a corner. First one was hit right at the keeper. The second one, she found the corner of the net. 45 minutes down. And KC leads Sunflower State FC. Landon, thoughts on this first half? I think for KC settling in early, Sunflower State FC looked crisp. They have still looked crisp, but certainly KC quicker to balls as it moved on and had a lot more possession.
I would certainly quantify the opening 20 to 25 minutes of this game as cagey.
Yeah.
Both sides really trying to find their footing, but without lots of quality chances either way. As that half progressed, the set pieces started to generate more quality opportunities for Current 2, eventually finding the back of the net with that great headed finish from Avery Clark. And I can't be more complimentary of the way Current 2 closed that half. It was very professionally done, managed the game very, very well to do what the most important thing was entering the half, which is maintaining that 1-goal advantage. So in a very good spot. As we've discussed, I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity as space opens up in the second half and maybe some fatigue sets in. But this is a very, very well done 45 minutes, but particularly the back half of the 20 minutes there from Current 2.
Certainly a well-deserved break here in the nearly 90-degree muggy heat. A lot of subs used by Sunflower State in that first half. You'd expect some changes to be made by KC in the second half just because of the conditions out there. That's it for the first half. Clark, the difference, 30th minute, header off a corner to find the back of the net, her fourth WPSL goal of the season. Back for the second half in about 15 minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back to Riverside Stadium, 1-0 after 45 minutes. Sam Johnson with Landon Wirtz. Landon, Avery Clark, 30th minute header to go ahead. Thoughts on that opening half?
Well done and professionally done from Current 2, may I add. Not only going up 1-0 after sort of a back-and-forth cagey opening where both teams really struggling to find their footing and generate quality scoring opportunities, but the way Current 2 closed that half was just so well done, and I can't stop harping on it because it was just so well done from Vasil Ristov's team. Long strings of possession, really quelling any momentum that the visitors may have tried to have after, that first quick strike response after conceding first. So really, really well done to see that half out, maintaining that 1-goal advantage.
Heavy shoulder from Schoefberger gets booked after laying down to Shera. Sunflower State put together some passes in that opening half. They looked threatening. Both teams forced some errors that just didn't turn into much, but they certainly looked threatening enough not just to score, but potentially come back, take all 3 points. Again, they are in great form right now. 3 wins in a row is what they come in off of. Teixeira, the free kick. It's a decent ball, gets all the way through to Williams.
And I'll say, too, on the Sunflower front, really just lacking that final bit of quality in the attacking third. They've been able to advance the ball up the pitch quite well, use those wingbacks to switch the field and generate some looks, but that really hasn't quite translated yet into bona fide goal-scoring opportunities. So even after scoring the goal, I was curious to see how they'd respond to the first few minutes, but even more so now in the first few minutes of the second half, trying to see if Sunflower mounts a few good scoring opportunities.
Gemelli, the captain, that's a Blues touch. Chased down by Hull, ends up poking it out. Saved it from being a corner. Cut around on Kirschner. Driven centrally. Nice clear up toward Clark. A couple of changes centrally for KC in this second half. One of them, Addie Lang, comes in. Oklahoma State player. A couple others we'll get to in a moment. Gemelli can watch that all the way back to Williams. AC Current 2 started the season with 3 wins. Since then, 2 draws, but on their way to 3 more points today. This one through to Hauntz from Kirschner. Hauntz attacking Day. To the byline, cuts it across, wanted Beltran centrally. Kirschner keeps the pressure applied. Into Clark, and try to time the run, and just too much on that pass. Chloe Gunther also in the midfield now for this second half. Lee's Summit, Missouri native, class of 2028. He was in the starting 11 last time out against Tulsa. Again, there were 7 changes made today to that starting 11 for KC. Same formation, though. But so far, a different result. We got a goal. Hauntz slid through beautifully to Clark. Clark on the right foot and curls it wide. Thought that was in for just a moment.
Just wide there from Avery Clark, but continuing to threaten and putting together an incredible performance, both offensively, of course, having that breakthrough goal in the first half, but also showing great work rate and winning some balls in the middle of the pitch as well. So another great showing from Avery Clark, who looks to be a little bit higher up the field as the second half begins here. Looks like to be a bit more of that number 9 role as opposed to in the first half where she dropped a little bit deeper and was more so operating in that number 10 role. So curious to see how Clark's sort of footing progresses here in the second half.
We can talk about that for a moment here. Hauntz, nice little cut behind herself. Yeah, so that change, I think a good one. Clark up top, want to get her another goal, put this match away. But she was good in that attacking midfielder role. Some good hold-up play in the first half. This is played directly to Kirschner from Teixeira. Already a Beltran. Fits it to Kirschner. Made the run, jostling to keep it in against a byline. Cut across Clark. Decent chance again, and just wide this time to the left.
If the early stages of this second half are any indication of how the rest of it will go, look for a lot of crosses and balls from the wing here funneled into Avery Clark in the center. So scoring opportunities may be coming thick and fast here for Current 2 in the second half.
And just 4 minutes gone, and Clark already on her way to a second. Good stop by Gemelli on the back line. The captain, who doesn't get involved often, but when she does, it's always clinical. Whistle the other way. Another second half change we should mention for KC. This is into Teixeira for the moment. Good control, Teixeira. Not a lot behind that. Williams covers it up. Another change was Kaya Brewer, who's in. Overland Park native. That's where Sunflower State FC is based. Third overall recruit in the class of 2029 for Missouri and Kansas. She's got a goal on this WPSL season. Schofberger over the top. Clark shields. She's got already a Beltran as an option if needed. Ends up turning it over. That one's played with a lot of pace right at Torres. Did a tremendous job to control that. Another chest control from Torres. This time given away. Stab to Clark. One more, not there. Deflects out. Slight miscommunication as to who had that. Lang fits one through. Gunther. Samantha Ogden, another change at halftime. Hans wants Brewer. Holt. It's a tough one to keep control with Gemelli right behind her. Ogden plays it out as Teixeira was shadowing. Wardlaw ends up turning it over directly to KC. Back to Hull. Hull has a hit. That one curls just over the right post.
And I will say, too, we've already seen Teixeira quite involved for Sunflower here in the early going as well. She had that opportunity just a few moments ago in the box. I think a deflection in there from a Current 2 defender took some of the sting out of it, but certainly one of Sunflower's most creative attacking players and someone who, if they are to find a lifeline back into this match, you would have to imagine it comes through the talented number 10.
Also had that early chance in the first half against Gemelli, who shut it down. But a similar spot in the area. Addie Lang just past her foot, slid through Hull, shielded by Kirschner, who plays it out for a throw.
And that's more good one-on-one defending there from a Kansas City Current 2 defender from Kirschner.
Long looping cross to Shera, not tall enough to reach it. And Brewer smashes that out. I believe it's a corner in the end. Just couldn't angle it far enough to the left. Teixeira will take it. Well, the only goal of the match came off a corner. Avery Clark for KC. Third corner of the match for Sunflower State, first of the second half.
And Teixeira has had some dangerous service on these set pieces, so certainly something to monitor here for a Current 2 back line that thus far has stood up to the task with a lot of these set pieces.
Curls it in. Good ball back post. The header comes offside netting. It was there at the open target back post. Couldn't tuck it away.
Well, I hate that I almost proved myself right there, but as the second half progresses, will definitely be something to monitor. Teixeira is really putting in some great delivery and, yeah, inches away from leveling this contest.
It was Alexis Mitchell nearly heading that in and leveling the match. Ball stays in for a Sunflower State throw to Shera, dispossessed. A lot of space. Natalia Jones. Wardlaw tried to fit it through. Back to Jones. Zolesio takes a good angle at it to get the cross in. And it's punched out for a corner, this time from the near side. Two substitutes awaiting and ready for KC.
And you're seeing a lot of the same from what Sunflower State was trying to do in the first half, utilizing these wingbacks pretty heavily, trying to serve in some dangerous crosses on the wing. And thus far, you certainly have to say that the visitors are responding well in the early stages of the second half.
Another good ball. Heads it away. Jones trying to keep it in the fray. So Alessio drove that forward, took one more touch ahead. Jofberger took a leap, never got a touch, and Lang. Skyzet. Gunther hops onto the ball. One back by Torres. Good pressure from Sunflower State. Curling shot, that's well wide. But something of substance there for Sunflower State. After that early collection of chances for Clark to open up this second half. 10 minutes played. Here come the substitutes. Torres is off for Sunflower State. They make one change. Etienne is back on. Get the KC changes in a moment. One of them is Chelsea Wagner. Back defensively. And Taylor Cheatham on the left wing.
Now entering the match for the current number 67, Chelsea Wagner, and number 52, Taylor Cheatham.
Avery Clark, the difference in the 30th minute off a corner so far. He's had a couple more chances since. And Landing, you said you expected more goals in this second half, but recent swing of momentum, Sunflower State, the ones pressing.
Yeah, certainly. A little bit of a change in the cadence of this match here. The visitors really starting to gain some confidence and grow into this one. They weathered that early storm. As we mentioned, Avery Clark had a couple of great scoring opportunities. But yeah, certainly the visitors here are starting to threaten as this half progresses.
Ponce wins it for KC in a dangerous spot as well. Brewer, fancy footwork. Working on that right side with Hans. Hans. All the way across. Should be able to shield for the throw and does.
But even still, been back and forth, and as we've noted, there still will be moments in transition, particularly as the visitors go longer and longer without a goal, for Current 2 to exploit some space here and potentially add a second or even a third.
Hopped onto by Lidstrom. Done through the wall. Seemed a bit accidental, that pass to Brewer. Ends up turning it back over. Here's Lidstrom again. Up to Etienne. Brewer's presence to win it back. Hans has been class today. Good hold up, but ball over the top. Hunting Clark too heavy. Well, 3 points the goal today, and Coach Vasile said with this WPSL season, it's good for the players to play for 3 points. It's a different feel than just the friendlies they've been playing in years prior. More of a professional aura about it. They already prepare for every game like the first team does, so getting to play for points, something more meaningful, certainly a positive. Over the top, well weighted for Hull. It's not the pace.
And as we talked about at the top, quality competition in a quality division. Very top heavy, but these teams at the top, and even Sunflower State, who's right behind Current 2 in the standings entering this match and posing quite the threat.
Chance to break. Ball long from Clark to Hans. Too heavy, and Clark currently kneeling down. Might have to be taken off here. As the entire KC bench shielding their eyes from the sun, trying to peek at what could be wrong with Clark. Both teams will get a sip of hydration here. Kind of holding her low back at the moment. Clark's got the goal. Half an hour played. Excuse me, hour played. But half an hour is when she found the goal in the first half. When we talk about what those 3 points mean, it would take KC to 14 points on the season with a game in hand over Union KC. They would be a point behind Oklahoma City FC, same amount of matches played, but they still play Oklahoma City FC twice. So in control of their destiny there. They just have to get the results. But currently, having played 2 less matches, sit at third. Union KC at the top for now. And then, as you mentioned, kind of top heavy, those top 3 on top of Sunflower State FC, and then FC Wichita and Tulsa have been beat up on most of the season.
Great to see Clark remaining in the match here as well up top. But yes, to your point, it's going to set up a colossal showdown should results hold, and even without a titanic contest here against Oklahoma City FC on Saturday.
KC's got 4 matches left. This is their busiest week. Continues Saturday and Sunday, those 2 Oklahoma matches. OKC, and then Tulsa over the top. Good control, but into the hands of McFarland as Cheatham was working that time. Lane gets a strong foot in. Hans chasing it, the header eventually back to the keeper, McFarland. Hull decided not to take a touch. Let it roll back to Gemelli. Here's Gemelli again. Wagner over the top, just a bit to the right of Brewer. Another change for Sunflower State FC. More steady diet of subs from them. Off comes Lila Lidstrom. Makes way for Lila Benz. Intercepted by Hans. Lang. Brewer wanted the cross in. Spin kept that in for a moment, but out for a throw.
And her name continues to pop up, but what a positive performance from Hans today.
Yeah.
Been so involved in the middle of the park, really been great, not only as a distributor, but also kickstarting some counterattacks. And, you wouldn't be surprised if Current 2 continues to find some offensive success, that she would be right in the middle of whatever positive action that they have going forward.
Little tug on the jersey against Brewer gets the free kick for Sunflower State FC. You're right. I mean, Hans has looked great today. Mentioned earlier in that match against Tulsa on June 6th. Wasn't quite herself, kind of lost in the midfield at times, but today head on a swivel, He's been probably the best player on the pitch so far. Of course, Clark had the impact goal. But Hans, if you're going to give out a player of the match award, certainly in that conversation. You see Kirschner on the near side stretching out as Clark and Hans will be coming off here. The changes for KC. It's a hot day, got to utilize the bench. It's nearly 90 at kickoff. Get those names in a moment. Teixeira. Over the top. Ogden shielding for her keeper. Hainsworth is the change on the left side for KC, and Brooklyn Robbins also in the match. Those are the two that step in for Clark and Hans. Here's a chance. Cheatham gets shut down. Still free for Kirschner. Steps into one and blazes it over. A lot of power behind that, though. And why not?
Not much developing there following that giveaway and blocked shot from Sunflower. Certainly well within your right to have a hit from that distance, and well struck, just couldn't quite keep it down. But even then, just a moment like that, so delicate, a misplayed clearance truly from the Sunflower back line almost resulted in a huge second goal in this match for the Current.
Etienne, the throw for Sunflower State. Sunflower State have looked classy today, crisp passing. Of course, they've made some mistakes, but so have KC. One thing missing for them is the goal. A couple of good looks for Teixeira to open up both halves. If you're coach Jose Ramos, have to be somewhat pleased, of course, coming off 3 wins. Playing, on paper, the best team in the division. They played them well, just down a goal. Hit from range, deflects kindly. Another hit that gets deflected, pushed out by Williams. It's a corner for Sunflower State. Threatened off their first of the second half, a header that hit side netting from Mitchell.
Yeah, and as we discussed, this is a team that comes in with a lot of confidence.
Played it short, crack at the whip, blocked by Brewer. Etienne closed in on. It's 2-on-1. Another one joining up the left side. Brewer carries it ahead. Trying to find Cheatham, and it's intercepted. Well cut off by Jones. That was numbers for KC. Etienne loses it out. Ogden the throw. .68 minutes elapsed, and KC can find one more that would surely put it away. But Sunflower State have certainly threatened enough to threaten a draw, get a goal. Kirschner on her left foot, tried to fit it through. Hainsworth, really techie winger. Didn't have her feet about her that time to get past 2 yellow shirts. Gunther side by side with Zolesio. Bit fortunate to stay with it. Mitchell up to Teixeira. Chasing it is Etienne. won't get there.
And yeah, just thinking back to that moment in transition there, more of those are coming for Current 2 as the second half progresses. Not quite the end product that they were hoping for on that first one, but the good news there is that I foresee and anticipate there being some more of those for the hosts here as the second half goes on, especially as Sunflower continues to commit numbers forward in search of an equalizer. So not quite there that time, but there will be more opportunities for this team to have those chances and those numerical advantages and fast breaks. It'll be interesting to see how those sort of develop for them and what the end product ends up being.
Well, Etienne looked gassed on that most recent run, and she's the one taken off. Torres comes in to replace her, who started the match in that left wingback position. Lofting ball over the top. Oh, this is played directly to Cheatham. A collision eventually played out. Sunflower State a bit loose at the back at times, giving away balls in key spots. It's nearly one there. KC have been close to that second. It was Clark early on in the second half. Into the path of Gunther. Now Wagner can carry it away. Gunther. Up ahead to Torres, the fresh legs. Fits it to Zolesio. Good intervention from Ogden. Zolesio chases it. Sliding, but too far.
Great tackle there from Ogden, really snuffing out anything Sunflower had going forward on that possession. And almost a near calamity at the back moments ago for the visitors there. This high pressure employed by Current 2 at times, it's been strategic, but it really has given Sunflower some fits. There have been multiple instances here where it's just been a little bit loose, and now that's gone for both sides, but it's been a little bit loose at the back for them and almost led to some really, really dangerous scoring opportunities.
Still, though, the only goal not really in the natural run of play, off a corner and off the head of Clark in the first half. So I'm sure Coach Vasil Ristov would like to see something more flowing find the back of the net for KC. You can nitpick all you want, but still be 3 points the way it currently stands. That was a heavy collision with Cheatham and a defender.
Cheatham, too, and Clarksville has put together a really, really quality shift up at that number 9 role. Lots of hard work, lots of pressure, nearly was able to round the goalkeeper and put that ball into the back of the net just a second ago. But another dangerous set piece here for Current 2, which let's see if they can put another one of these in the back of the net.
Tending to a cramp there. Kirshner making herself the short option. That was Akaya Day cramping. Might be a change made for her soon. The defender. Grouse driven in, punched out by McFarland. Kirshner battles to win it back. Soft chip in. Cheatham turns. It's out. And a goal kick for Sunflower State. As they alleviate the pressure there. Still keen on finding an equalizer, getting point. Again, winners of 3 straight. But FC Wichita and Tulsa were the competition in those 3. Cheatham, lot of space. Cheatham! Just wrapped it up. Shirley, what a spot. Opened up for her a couple times in this second half, Landon. That time she punishes with a blazer into the left side of the net.
And another moment of transition there for Current 2. Quick strike turnover, one pass forward, as simple as you like, and a great driven finish there from Cheatham, who we were just talking about, has put together a really, really nice shift here off the bench and spell of Clark in the second half, and she's able to reward that with a goal, and you can't say it's not well-deserved. This has been a very, very positive showing from her as well, and what a huge goal and a great time in the match for it here with about 15-ish minutes remaining, now seeing out a 2-goal lead for Current 2. So well done all around there, and what a nice strike and finish that was.
Should be enough for the 3 points, which as of now wouldn't move KC up in the standings, but they are in control of everything this weekend. Again, huge the next week. Can't emphasize enough, Oklahoma City FC at home could be the decider, and that is another big step forward to winning the division, courtesy of Cheatham. A lot of changes coming into the second half for KC because of the heat. Didn't necessarily change around tactics or anything, but that weather playing a factor, and you'd expect somebody off the bench to make an impact. And Cheatham does with a great hit. A lot of space as it opened up and did not make a mistake with that one.
And the level didn't drop, even as Current 2 brought some players in off the bench, which I think is important to note as well.
Yeah.
Similar setup to last go-around here. After Clark's goal, we went into a hydration break in the first half. Similar setup here, now defending a 2-goal lead, which they often say is the most dangerous lead in football. But Sunflower State, you would think, is surely going to start pressing even more numbers forward here with some more fresh legs in an attempt to find a lifeline here and maybe see if they can't make these last 5-10 minutes of the game a bit more chaotic.
Yeah, they make a load of changes. Maybe not the most dangerous lead with 15 minutes until stoppage time, but could always open up. You never know. I'm sure that water tasted a bit sweeter for KC. 2-0 up now.
KC baby on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Clark, Cheatham, the 2 goals.
Kansas City Current 2 goals scored by number 50.
Here's Teixeira, dispossessed quickly. Gunther slides it up to Brewer. Further up for Robbins. Robbins to the byline. Takes a deflection out off the side of the goal. It'll be a corner for KC. Yeah, good to point out there, Landon, how the level didn't drop. I mean, that is the depth this squad has. Division I talent across the board, and big reason why they should, on paper, wrap up the division. It is tight up top, though, between those 3, Union KC, OKC, and KC Current 2. Into the final couple of weeks of this season. Cross to the back post. Blade to Kirshner, chops it back. Lifts it in just past Cheatham. Brewer's there, offside though. Flag goes up to spoil that. Well, we talked about in the first half, Landon, how TST could have affected them getting back into the WPSL season. It's a short-sided tournament. You're all the way in North Carolina. You come back, you play 2 games almost back-to-back. They were both draws. You could tell maybe their level dropped a bit, but back to it now. I'm sure there's some things Vasil Ristov would like to see tweaked, but on their way to 3 more points, and a big 3 points at home considering the last 2 showings. That's shielded out for a goal kick by Ogden.
Well done there from Ogden, and yes, certainly. Obviously, some things that Coach would like to see cleaned up, particularly in the attacking third, a few moments in transition that we've seen where Current 2 could just be a little bit sharper perhaps, but all in all thus far, it's been a very, very professional performance and a 3 points that this team needed, and like you mentioned, Sam, they are well on their way to doing so thus far. It's been a very, very good showing and a much-needed response, I think, following that little bit of a drop-off that we saw right after that TST window there for the team.
The positives that did come from those couple of draws is that they faced a bit of adversity. They trailed in that Union KC match. Late leveler by Gunther in stoppage time. Was proud of their fight to salvage that point. So there were some good things to come from that, but it was all kind of sentimental in the end. Back in the win column today, likely. That's covered by Williams.
And important to note that, there's not a loss there against Union KC, which is important, particularly as that's the team that's sitting atop the standings currently. You play 2 matches against them with a win and a draw, so good for tiebreaker purposes potentially down the line to keep that draw there and not have it turn into a loss.
Exactly. Bottom line is you're in control of your own destiny if you're KC at this point. Too far for Brewer. Goal kick, Sunflower State, whose 3 win streak going to come to an end here. They lost their first 4 matches, and the next 3 they won, but they'll be dropping all the points today. Currently sitting at 4th in the division on 9 points.
And even still, as we've talked about the top 3 teams in this Heartland division, this is a Sunflower side with lots of quality. Very much some players that are a joy to watch on the ball, and a team that can threaten them. I know they have a match with Union KC coming up, but a team that can certainly threaten them. I've seen a lot of positives from them today. They definitely have some talent going forward that can give any team in this league, as we've seen, some problems. So definitely some positives to take away for the visitors as well. I've been thoroughly impressed with their showing.
Great ball up from Gemelli for Brewer. Has options in the area. One of them, Cheatham, a bit too close to McFarland to cover.
What a fantastic diagonal ball from their center back there.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. On a dime to Brewer there on the wing. That was well done from Gemelli.
It's what she does. Again, mentioned not always going to be on the ball because she is a defender, but when she is in those vital moments, and in those calmer moments, just trying to pick out a pass, she makes the right decision, puts the right amount of weight behind the ball. Reason she wears the captain's armband. This is dangerous here for Sunflower State. A pull on the jersey as it's tapped home for good measure from Hainsworth. Card's out. She'll be booked. Bit overzealous to get the third there and capitalize on that semi-mistake from Zolesio, who plays it long. Just in hunt of a consolation goal at this stage. You would expect there is still 10 minutes or so factoring in stoppage time, but 2 goals would be a big ask. Teixeira, intercepted by Brewer. Working in tight space, moves it up. This is Robbins to the byline, cuts it across. And McFarland reaches down to pick it up.
And yet another transitional moment there from Current 2, forcing a turnover near midfield and just breaking away straight to goal. I anticipate seeing a good bit more of that here in the late stages of the contest, especially with a lot of what I suspect to be Route 1 traffic here from Sunflower State FC if they just start trying launching the ball forward here in an attempt to find a lifeline.
Can't overstate, though, how positive their turnaround has been. Outscored 12-0 in the first 3 matches. KC Current 2 got them 4-0. Then, since then, a lot of goals, a lot of wins. It's going to come to and end their little streak today.
Yeah, it's a 3-5-2 formation that gives teams a lot of difficulty, as we've discussed, and this little front pairing of Teixeira and Hull have definitely asked some questions of the Current 2 back line throughout the contest. They just haven't been able, as we've discussed throughout this match, really, to find that last bit of quality in the attacking third that's been lacking today, but a huge testament to the Current 2 back line, which throughout this entire WPSL season, really, with new faces and...
Here's Teixeira. Drives one in. That's cleared by Wagner. Yeah, Teixeira a lot more active across the pitch. Dropping at times. Hull has been kind of a more pure striker up top. Both have had chances, just not able to execute in the attacking third. But Sunflower State FC, I think, as you summarize this here in the final waning moments, have come out and played a solid game today. I haven't had that goal yet, but crisp passing. Game plan has worked, but KC just the better squad. Intercepted by Zalesio. Pushing up. Zalesio's got space to drive into. Chooses a shot and a juggle and a catch in the end by Williams.
Yeah, well held. But just rounding out that point, even with some of the shuffling around at the back line, that consistent, steady defensive performance has been one thing that has remained consistent for this current two teams. So definitely another positive to see. Another stout effort from that unit today.
There's Wagner driving forward. 2 slide tackles to eventually win the ball. So they work it all the way back. Finally, the whistle to check on the KC player. There's been some physical moments in this game, and it's hot today in Kansas City. I know I would not have escaped this match if I was playing without a cramp. So respect to the physicality of these players, enduring a lot. See medical out to check here. Both teams will head to the sidelines to grab another swig.
Ditto to that as well. Lots of water would be much, much needed
Yeah.
on a day like today. A huge testament to these players that have come in and provided great energy, great intensity throughout this really, really hot and humid June evening in Kansas City.
Well, the division wraps up on June 27th, incidentally, the same day as the World Cup group stage wrapping up. But again, we've mentioned multiple times, tight at the top, Union KC currently in first. But that is in the balance because Oklahoma City FC and KC, current 2, both have games in hand. Union KC, though, big result for them recently on June 10th. They beat OKC 2-0. And they play the road fixture on the final day of divisional play on June 27th. So definitely something there for them, but what does hurt them is KC Current 2 having the 2 better results over them, the win 5-1 and then the 1-1 draw, which was almost a Union KC win back on June 4th.
And looking ahead, too, that Union KC team will still have to play another match with Sunflower State at Pembroke Hill, which will be a very, very interesting contest. As we've discussed, Sunflower has looked quite positive, so that will be a really, really challenging test for them.
Good little link up here to Shara, and the flag up, but well worked until it was offside for Sunflower State. Now, there's kind of 3 levels to the division. The top 3, then you've got Sunflower State FC in there in 4th, and then the bottom 2, FC Wichita and Tulsa. Again, just shocking how Tulsa forced a draw against KC on June 6th. Again, mentioned earlier, could be their only point of the season when it's all said and done. And we knew coming into today, KC could not afford another draw, let alone a loss. They've gotten the job done. Robbins returns for Brewer. 2 minutes until stoppage time. Teixeira intercepts. Teixeira certainly a player you had highlighted on that Sunflower State FC squad today, and she has lived up to the billing. Just couldn't find that definitive touch toward goal. Rolls up to Teixeira. Stepping in was Gemelli.
Yeah, Teixeira even trying to drop a little bit deeper here, potentially in an effort to try and maybe spring some more going forward. But the visitors here just might be out of ideas, for lack of a better phrase, here in the late stages of this one.
Gemelli just so direct and decisive. Every match ends with praise for her. Ogden defending. No whistle. That one couldn't be fit through. Kirshner onto it. Up to Brewer. Could be one of the last, potentially the last attacking chance. Cheatham at the second goal. Brewer, edge of the area. Lifts it towards Hainsworth. Sunflower State FC, this is played all the way back. Have 2 matches remaining. Week 8 for them. The final week includes Union KC at home Wednesday, then Tulsa over the weekend to wrap up their season. And then for KC Current 2, chunk of matches left. 4 left. Mentioned this is their busy week. And they've got Oklahoma City and Tulsa this weekend. Then next week, the big one against OKC potentially. There's one more card given out here.
Positive results a must in that one. But yeah, can't wait to see how this current 2 team fares against Oklahoma City. Will be a fantastic, fantastic weekend there.
Teixeira's ball in, dealt with easily. 30 seconds into stoppage time. Brewer. Ainsworth.
Well done again, just to take the sting out of things, settle the ball down. This has been a very, very professional showing from Current 2. Again, you would have think that Sunflower State would try to respond quickly, but well done and well held out.
Full-time whistle. Classy, professional, calm in the end for KC Current 2. They take it 2-0 over Sunflower State FC. And for now, stay in third in the Heartland Division, now on 14 points and a plus 22 goal difference. If it comes down to goal difference, good luck catching up. 2-0 the final. Great day here in Riverside. It was a hot day. Clark opened it up 30th minute, and then second half, Cheatham off the bench. Put it away. Sunflower State FC, I think, did carry some of that good form into this match. They looked pretty crisp, is the way I would put it multiple times that way. But KC in the end, more depth, better squad, played that way, got the job done.
Yeah, as I just noted there right before the final whistle, a very, very professional performance from Vasil Ristov's team, really not allowing Sunflower State any momentum, lifeline, away back into the contest. You would think that after opening the scoring and even taking a second goal, the visitors tried to push, but really couldn't find any answers in the final third. So what a testament to a stout defensive performance and a big 3 points that this team desperately needs here to kick off this second half of the season. And good to see them get back to winning ways today. So well done overall, and I'm sure the technical staff will be very, very pleased with the result.
And then looking ahead, Landon, to the road trip this weekend, 2 big games. What do you want to see from that? How do you kind of keep your level hitting the road again?
Yeah, the travel is always difficult. It's going to be a 3-match week, which was very, very, very difficult to manage. I think towards the second half, you started to see a little bit of maybe thinking ahead to the weekend, taking off some players like Avery Clark and Hans, who had great performances in their showing today, to maybe try and keep the team fresh for those 2 big matches. I think 4 points from those 2 contests at least is a must, and if you take 6 2 victories there, you are in a really, really advantageous position down the stretch. But I really did think you started to see some sort of thinking ahead to the weekend with some of the personnel decisions made at the end. But even as we said, the level didn't drop as Current 2 waned on in the late stages of the contest.
And as you mentioned, and as we saw, tremendous numbers of assets that they can push forward. Thank you. Tremendous assets that they can throw onto the pitch at all times. The depth is something that could come into play there for the travel and the road weekend. Of course, this was a grueling game in the heat, but they get the job done. 2-0 the final. As for Landon Wirt and the rest of the broadcast crew, I'm Sam Johnson saying so long from Riverside Stadium. KC Current 2 victorious over Sunflower State FC. Thanks for tuning in.